So my name's Ian Harris. I'm a degree scheme coordinator for marketing. What I'm going to do is actually sort of repeat some of the elements that Jeff has already mentioned and also segue into some elements that Jack is going to cover moving. Given the time, I think we're going to omit the careers video and we can distribute that later because I think that will give us a bit more time. So the contents that I'd like to cover today is, well, why would you study a business subject? Jeff started identifying some of the reasons behind. How do you go about getting the best experience from your business school choice? Then I'm going to focus on something which Jeff alluded to, and this is the concept of competences. Business schools are very different to a typical university degree in that what we're really trying to deliver is competence-based graduates that can do things in industry. So we really focus on ensuring that you can do things as opposed to know things. It's a fundamental difference between a business school and, should we say, a department of business. I'm briefly going to introduce you to some of the major subject areas, and I'm going to elaborate on the first year and show you how similar first years are across the United Kingdom for high quality business programs. And then briefly, I'm going to introduce success stories, and then I'll segue into Jack. This is just me as a parent of 6 children. The way that you get the best experience at university, irrespective of the course, is you find the right course at the right university. That leads to lots of happiness. Honestly, the best way that you can do that is to make sure that when the restrictions of visiting are over, that you visit every university that you are considering. I've got 4 children who've completed their degrees. They range from psychology, international politics, physiotherapy and engineering. I've got another one going into a nursing degree now, and it's about finding the right course at the right university. If you find the right course at the wrong university, you'll have an okay time. If you find the wrong course at the right university, you won't have a particularly good time. And if you find the wrong course at the wrong university, you're probably going to drop out. And if you look at some of the inner city universities, you'll see that their retention rates are very low because the university is wrong and the course is wrong. So Jeff's already alluded to this. There's all sorts of opportunities. And in business, we refer to this as vertical and horizontal integration. So if you study accountancy, you could take the next 50 years after you graduate and you could just practice that profession. So you go from a graduate of accounting and finance to a chartered accountant and finance person, then to a partner probably in accountancy and finance practice. And then that can take you anywhere else that you want to go. Similarly, if you start with an accountancy interest, but realize that you really like operations management and you like working in the supply chain, you can develop your sort of management accounting perspectives and then work in sub-teams where you're more close to the actual delivery of objects as opposed to the monitoring financially of those objects. So a business degree is highly flexible, which is the point that Jeff made. And when you consider that upon graduation, unless you're very lucky and get rich because you're a genius, Elon Musk-like, then you're going to be working for 50 years. So this flexibility actually over the period of a career is very, very useful. I've had multiple careers in my 10 years since I graduated. I'm joking, by the way, it's obviously more like 40 years since I graduated. Something to make you aware of is that business students are unusual. They're very different to a typical university student. And that's because business students often see it as a transitional subject. What they're in university for is to get the skills and competencies to actually go out into the broader world and start their professional life. So they're very serious. What we call, when we sort of segment them, the surviving the experience. They need to get a degree because that degree opens the doors, the professional doors that takes them to where they want to be. And the fundamental reality when we speak to graduate employers is that graduate employers want distinct skills and competencies, and business students want to be taken seriously when they graduate. So graduate employability is a key determinant for most people studying a business. A good business school will help you build those skills and competencies through the studies, through your assessments, and through the ways in which we assess your capabilities. They will introduce you to work experience opportunities that allow you to build out your portfolio of competencies. And obviously, employees actually like seeing well-rounded individuals, be that on the sporting field, be that on volunteering. And what a good business school and a good university will do, it will try to motivate you to ensure that you do this. The upshot of all this, of course, is that business graduates have very good starting salaries. These are international starting salaries, okay? So you're looking at metropolitan areas in North America, Europe, and certain parts of Asia. International business would anticipate that you'd have a language. At the minute, the language would probably be an Asian-derived language to be absolutely popular. But if you start work in a small business in the Outer Hebrides, honestly, you'll be halving these average starting salaries. So the salary is dependent upon where you practice your art. If you want to live in a big metropolitan area, high salaries occur very, very quickly. So the reason that graduates can earn so much is, unlike many degrees from university, they have some core constructs that they are better at than your typical physics graduate or English graduate or international politics graduate, or dare I say it, an engineering graduate. And some of these are transferable, such as teamwork, taking responsibility, being able to micro, meso and macro lead activities. What's really important in business now is this concept of ethics. In business, it's known as corporate social responsibility, or CSR. And what we're aware of, because we get very close to our students, is that the ethical stance of students in 2021 is very, very different from what it was even 5 or 6 years ago. So looking forward, organizations will be wanting to adopt those perspectives to facilitate what those organizations need to project, communicate to their audiences, their marketplaces, for want of a. Now, the bit where business graduates are fundamentally better than most others is your commercial awareness is much higher. Part of the way that you study will be through case analysis and actually trying to determine the actions that organizations are taking and why they are making those decisions. Ideally, you'll be evaluating how they achieve results, and typically what those results are a result of is innovative problem thinking. That will either be through the innovation of business models, for example, or just approaching something slightly differently. So those 4 elements in the center are key, and that's what differentiates business school students. Yes, of course, a physics graduate can solve problems, but they can't solve commercial problems as effectively. And obviously then you've got those organizational skills, teamwork, time management, output management, and the ability to communicate. So within a business school, we spend a lot of time making sure that you can develop all sorts of reports, plans, be that a brand plan, for example, or a comms plan. They're all fundamental constructs that you will use in business from day one. And that gives you a significant advantage in those areas. So when you're looking at a university, and this is just segueing into what Jeff said earlier, then there are some measures that you can look for. One I've already mentioned, retention rate. Another is staff-student ratio. I was on an open day for the university last night, and I had 3 questions on what the staff-student ratio is for the business school. So the ABS staff-student ratio is 15:1, 15 students for every 1 member of staff. Anything above 30:1 obviously isn't ideal. Think about when you were in secondary school. If you're in a state school, then you were probably in a class when you're doing your GCSEs of about 28 to 32:1. So anything above that sort of number is not a good idea. You're looking at employability rates, and ideally they're as high as possible. The industry average for business school graduate employability is 89%. The ABS, the Aberystwyth Business School average from the latest data that we have is 97%. So 8 out of every 100 graduates get jobs compared to other business schools in the United States. Jeff's already alluded to this. For you as undergraduate students, you really want to be looking at student satisfaction, experience, and the teaching and learning. And it's really what differentiates certain business schools. So business schools like Bath, and this isn't a criticism of Bath, they're very research focused. And undergraduates are important to them financially, but they really want to be delivering this cutting edge research. So when you see organizations with very, very high quality teaching and learning accolades and awards, that's because we focus. And the business school does just that. Our prime purpose, our differentiator in the marketplace, is that we try to create individualized education plans with each of our students. We get to know you by your first name within the first week or two. I'm terrible on names, but even I can do it. So it's, you know, it's something that we really attempt to do. And then think about class sizes. Certain universities will have 1,000 people studying business and management, for example, and they will share a common module. So you will probably have video content piped to you. You won't be in the same room as your lecturer. So ideally, you want class sizes to be small enough. In Aber for 2021, the maximum class size is going to be 100, which means that we'll have to run core classes more than once, which is good. When you get specialist classes, so digital marketing and communications, for example, I teach that. I have 22 people on that particular module. Certain economics modules will have 5 people on it. So specialist classes typically range between 30 and 50. So that gives you some idea. They're really good quality indicators. So wherever you choose to go, ask those questions, because they actually are a way of you determining how good that business school is. Okay, so the main schemes of most business schools are the two bold: business and management and accounting. Business and management is kind of a general degree where you will touch upon human resources, supply chain management, operations, leadership, and at undergraduate level, it's the degree scheme that the vast majority of undergraduates in business schools take. The next biggest is accounting and finance, and then we start moving into more specialisms such as business finance, marketing, in Aberystwyth, tourism management, and then economics and business. So any university is a business. And as such, what we're doing is we're introducing new programs, what we class as new products. So if you think about the Ansoff matrix, you put in a new product in an existing market. And so recently, in the last 12, 18 months, we've introduced business or marketing psychology. They both map well. So if you're interested in HRM, for example, psychology and business is a good combination. If you're interested in consumer behavior, why consumers behave a certain way they do, why do people buy so many iPhones when they're so expensive, then marketing and psychology is a very good sort of combination. Because we're aware as a university and we are situated in a very environmentally beautiful place, we're also introduced economics and business with climate change, because we know that in the next 8 years, the machinations and pain that organizations will be meeting to try and factor in the Paris Climate Accord of 2015 and the Glasgow update, which is later this year, will be significant. So they're the typical sort of degree schemes, the typical vertical disciplines that you study. The codes next to them are the UCAS numbers, okay? And those UCAS numbers can sometimes be slightly different. So a business and management degree might be N122 in Aber, but it might be N1 something else elsewhere. Okay, so whichever business school you go to, irrespective in the UK, you're probably going to get a very common first year. So this is an example of a common first year. The first one is a business and management stroke marketing degree. The bottom one is an accounting and finance degree. And you can see that the first semester, so between September and January of your first year, everybody does the same subjects. That's because we have to make sure that you all understand the core constructs of business. You cannot study business and be an effective business person if you don't understand basic economics or basic accounting and finance. Then we start specializing in semester 2, which is January to June. You'll typically be assessed in January and in May, and your assessments will be typically one exam and one written assessment in your first year. So what this allows us to do is, if you join the university doing business and management and you decide that you really love marketing, and lots of people actually do that, what happens is that they will transfer over to the marketing degree at the beginning of the second year. If you come in with studying marketing, but you realize that you really are passionate about accounting and finance, that happens occasionally. then you would need to change at the end of semester 1. And most universities will give you this flexibility. And when you're exploring your opportunities, just check about how flexible they are with regards to how you can change your degree program. After year 1, most universities will not let you change because you're specialising. In year 1, generalist. In year 2, you're going to do 6 modules. The whole year is going to be marketing focused or accounting focused or economics focused. So at that point, you're specialising. At that point, your degrees start to become awarded. That's when you accrue credits, grades for your final degree classification. Therefore, it's locked in. Okay, let's have a look. Just to show you the similarity of the subjects within, this is a brief comparison of 3 business school accounting and finance degrees. And whilst they might call the modules different names, when you actually dig into the modules, what you'll actually find is that the materials of Exeter and Bath are very similar. When Bath explores business and society, what they're actually doing is they're exploring consumptive practice, and consumptive practice is actually explored through the discipline of marketing principles. So as soon as you dig into this, you'll see that statistics is called statistics in Exeter, it's called data analytics in Aberystwyth, and in Bath it's called business data analysis and quantitative methods. It's exactly the same modules. Okay, so there is some commonality, especially in the first year. I think I'm running out of time, so I don't know why that's flying off. Jeff also mentioned that you really want to be dealing with industry linkages. Bath University, for example, is the exemplar in the United Kingdom for its industry linkages, quite exceptional. That's its differentiator in the marketplace. We differentiate on teaching quality, they differentiate on teaching linkage, industry linkages. We run several masterclass series. This is a masterclass by the CEO of HSBC of Italy and Switzerland, Gerd Percher. And basically what he was doing, he was coming in, giving a chat to about 140 of our business and finance students, just saying, look, these are the skills and competencies that I use to develop my career. But because I'm a strategist, looking forwards, this is what you really need to be focused on to develop your career for the next 20 years. This is where finance is actually going. Okay, so I'm almost running out of time. I'm just going to show you a few more. This is Jack Williams. He's a data analyst, data scientist with Deloitte. He gave a careers masterclass saying, okay, when you're going through the recruitment process, how do you maximize your chance? And he's got an actual model which he shares with the graduates of the undergraduates, of Aber Uni. And we've got numerous of these every year. Obviously this year they've been electronic. Where we can, we try to bring them in to physically present to you. Similarly, you need professional body linkages. This is the Chartered Management Institute. All of our degree schemes, with the exception of economics, have maximum exemptions from the professional bodies. So if you do B&M, Business and Management, it's the Chartered Management Institute. If you do marketing, it's the Chartered Institute of Marketing. If you do tourism, it's the Tourism Management Institute. And if you do accounting and finance, you've got about 8 or 9 different professional bodies: SIPFA, CIMA, ACCA, ICAEW. There's all sorts of professional bodies for the specialisms within there. And this is a masterclass chat which we're going to have in the next week or so. So this is coming up. This is just a bit of information. If we had more time, I would introduce you to Dan. Dan was in your position about 7 years ago. That seems like a long time ago, but when you think that Dan took a 3-year degree, and at this point working for Carrot, he's been working for 3 years. It needs that duration for us to give you some sort of sense. To give you an idea, Dan, when we first met Dan, we kind of knew that he was interpersonally exceptional. And as soon as we started talking about it, it was like, had you thought about account management? You're a real people person. You've got these really high quality skills. He did the business and management and marketing joint honours. He's currently working for the world's largest brand media company, which is Carrot, which is part of the Dentsu group. And if I had more time, I would take you through. Okay, so this is where I'm going to pass over to Jack. Jack he's just finishing his finals, and so he's going to become an alum in the next sort of 3 weeks, basically. And what Jack's going to do, he's going to take you through his perspective of a business finance degree